Yeah, I know I have a big nose. A lot of things become harder when you have a big nose. Getting through airport security, avoiding drone strikes, and kissing. Yeah, that's right, kissing. Have you seen any girls in the Brighton area walking around the Brighton area wearing an eye patch? Yep, that was me. If she's wearing 2 eye patches, that was a particularly wild night. I love Yorkshire. I love the foods of Yorkshire. Yorkshire tea, Yorkshire pudding, Yorkshire terriers. And the funny thing is, I've never actually been to Yorkshire. And it wasn't until much later on in life that I actually saw a real-life Yorkshire person. And I'm not just talking about when you're waiting for Corrie to start and you see the last few minutes of Emmerdale. No, I'm talking about an actual, real Yorkshire person. A Yorkshire woman. She was Yorkshire through and through. She even smelt of Yorkshire manure. And she had this peculiar Yorkshire name, and every time I would hear it, it would conjure up the moors and dales of Yorkshire. It was a name that I had never heard of before. Katie. We were living in halls at university at the time, and to get to our front door, you had to pass her bedroom window. And at that time, I was a very curious man. I wanted to know, what does the habitat of the Yorkshire person look like? What would I see? Would I see boxes of Yorkshire tea? Would I see Yorkshire puddings on a plate, one stacked on top of the other? I might even see some Yorkshire terriers running around. Obviously, if I did see some Yorkshire terriers, I would have to tell the resident warden, as pets aren't allowed, and she would have to be expelled. So I went to see her the next day. Unfortunately, her curtains were closed. So I went the next day, and I had a peek in her window. And there she was, staring straight back at me. And I had to quickly get out of the bushes I was hiding in. And in the process, I tripped on a branch and nearly dropped the binoculars I was holding. That's when I realized that my trousers were still wrapped around my ankles. Obviously, this was a major setback in my life. I had to find a way of taking the pain away. So this is when my addiction to Cadbury's mixed buttons began. My hallmate at the time, Scott, realized straight away that I had become addicted, and he tried to wean me off by separating the white chocolate buttons from the dairy milk buttons. Unmixed buttons, a methadone, to mixed buttons, heroin. And as I underwent my rehabilitation, memories of happier times came to me. Remember the days when there were no mixed buttons, and you had to buy a bag of white chocolate buttons and a bag of dairy milk buttons and mix them all together yourself? I still have to do that with white and brown rice. It really messes with your cooking times. Don't do it. Remember the days when there were no buttons and you had to buy a bar of dairy milk and you'd spend an afternoon with a circular cookie cutter making your own buttons? And the outer bits, the bits nobody wanted, you put them in your dog's food bowl. And the next day your dog was dead. I sometimes open a bag of mixed buttons and only open the brown ones. I call it the colonization of the Americas, or gentrification, depending on how quickly I eat them. I went to see Black Panther the other day, and now when I open up a packet of mixed buttons, I only eat the white ones, except for one. That's Martin Freeman's character. Martin Luther King had a dream. He had a dream that little black boys and girls would join hands with little white boys and girls as brothers and sisters. But never would he have imagined mixed buttons. And I know it's easy for me to stand here and talk about the diversity of mixed buttons and the progress we've made so far, but we still have a long way to go. We still have to make a strenuous effort to include the Swiss. Because the Swiss are people too, you know, except for Roger Federer. He's a tennis god. And I think by including Swiss chocolate in mixed buttons, we extend an olive branch to the Swiss, and hopefully they will join us in the battle to increase child obesity levels. But yes, I do like chocolates that come with a political message. the anti-apartheid message of mixed buttons is very powerful, but I think chocolate makers should do more to increase the awareness of social issues through their products. So I've come up with a list of suggestions. Lamentations, celebrations for UK millennials, a generation who almost certainly will be worse off than their parents, but more importantly, they will no longer know the joys of having a burgundy passport. These chocolates are best enjoyed whilst lamenting having no future. My next suggestion, Poverty Street. Just an empty cardboard box. Thank you very much. I've been Marc Pinto, and if anyone wants to look like a pirate over the weekend, find me by the bar.
Hi Marc, how are you feeling after your first comedy gig?
I'm feeling relieved. I'm glad it's all over. I've still got a tingling feeling in my face, so I still haven't got the blood pressure down completely yet.
And how did you find the experience?
It was a surprisingly, it was very different to what I was expecting. So I was very, very nervous before going on, but as I got on to the stage, I felt a lot calmer, and I was happy that I could see the audience. I was scared I wouldn't be able to see them, but I could see the first 4 rows very, very well.
And what brought you on a comedy course?
I've always enjoyed comedy, the American stand-ups, and Jerry Seinfeld. I love Seinfeld. I love Larry David in Curb Your Enthusiasm. Stuart Lee, obviously. Obviously, yeah. Stuart Lee's Comedy Vehicle. Marc Maron. Yeah, I listen to too much American comedians, but yeah.
And do you think you will go on and work the comedy circuit?
If I can find the time to write, I will. Yes, but I don't want to just do the same jokes over and over again. If I can find the time to write more material and even better material, then yeah.
There we have it, conscientious comedy, that's what we have there. You had an absolute blinder tonight. I hope you enjoyed it. You were fabulous. Well done.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.